If you have any interest in film whatsoever, you probably heard the name M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan is a filmmaker that everyone that loves films has some form of relationship with. Either you love him, you hate him, you spend your whole life trying to figure out what his end goal is with a lot of these films that he makes, but at the end of the day, he's a very talented individual. Now, I've seen just about every one of Shyamalan's films. Obviously, I have great love for The Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable, and then, you know, he made some other movies. I don't care what anyone says, The Visit sucks. Split is pretty good, and Glass and Knock at the Cabin are just kind of unremarkable. Same as Old, but at least Old has that humorous value to it. It's a bad film, but it's hilarious.
Do you know that Jack Nicholson did a film with Marlon Brando?
Oh, no.
What is he saying?
What was the name of that film?
Charles, breathe.
Are you okay?
Yes. You just let me do my job, please.
However, saying all this, we are now sat with the release of his brand new film, Trap. And I think it's time to discuss, is this another sign of Shyamalan's comeback, or is he still producing the same slop that he's been producing for quite a long time now? Now, when the first trailers for Trap came out, I was kind of on the fence. It looked pretty funny and interesting, but at the same time, it's a Shyamalan film, so you know you're not gonna get exactly what you're promised. Except for Old, that is literally just about a beach where people get old. Saying that, there's a few things that kind of bring the interest in. The film follows a father and his daughter as they attend a concert, only to realise that the concert is actually a ploy to trap him. Oh wow, I didn't even mean to say the title, but basically the whole film is set around the police trying to find him. It's a unique premise, and I'll say a couple things off the bat that aren't exactly related to the film, but I do like. Shyamalan was posting fun facts every few days about the film. I think this is great. I think more filmmakers should do this, and it allows a little bit more of a connection towards understanding the process of making a project like this. There's also the casting of Josh Hartnett, which he's a great actor. I'm glad that he's getting some time to shine in a leading role. You know, he's very good in Oppenheimer. And I think it's a great premise too. It's basically, what if there was a mass murderer at a Taylor Swift concert? To the point where Shyamalan actually compared it to that. Although his comparison, what did he mean by this? I will say there's quite a few things that I actually really enjoy in Trap. Again, the premise is very interesting. The performances are pretty great. It has that Shyamalan dialogue that everyone's familiar with, which works in some places and in other places it doesn't.
Look at the stage where that guy came out. I wonder what's down there. Hey, we should climb down and see where it leads. It looks really cool.
His way of directing dialogue is very specific, and it works a lot of the time, and sometimes it really doesn't. It reminds me a lot of Wes Anderson, although Anderson seems to be much more clear with what he wants from his actors.
She's been murdered, and you think I did it.
Genuinely, this is one of the best shot films of the year. There is a collection of really great and interesting things that elevate scenes to levels that really works. They look pretty great. I think everything that occurs in the concert is actually pretty well executed, but that's where the issues start to show for me when we pull away from this concert. Now, the film is an hour 40. The second half is kind of just not in the concert at all. We leave and we go back to his house, and this is where the film completely falls apart for me. I watched this very interesting interview of Shyamalan where he discussed his process of making these films, and he didn't like how he was put in a box of being the guy that does all the twists. But when you have a film like Trap, do you really need a plot twist, or do you need a compelling story? Do you need something for shock value, or something that actually evokes emotion? That's the big issue with Trap. He does the same formula again. But I'm not going to personally get into that because I know there's some people that still haven't seen the film, and I don't want to be the guy that ruins it. The other big thing is the casting choice. Not specifically the daughter or the wife or Josh Hartnett, but the choice to cast the singer Lady Raven as Suleika Shyamalan, his daughter. Now, I had no idea that she had a career as a musician before this. I realised that a lot of his family are starting to branch out now. Obviously, his wife directed her first feature earlier this year, The Watch, which I wasn't particularly a big fan of. I'd put this maybe a little bit lower than Trap. I think I've worked out the process of how this film was made. In a lot of interviews, he discusses how he wanted to set a film in a concert, and it came to the idea that, oh, this would be great to cast my daughter in this because she sings. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the concept came from having a film that promotes his daughter's music and then building a film around that. The first idea had to be, my daughter is a musician in this film and she will act in it, but where does the rest of the story go? And that's where the Trap elements and Josh Hartnett and everything comes into it, which is completely fine, People always have this complaint with nepotism in movies, and it's like directors have been doing that for years. There's a lot of slack with James Gunn casting his brother and his wife in his films, but it's also like they're pretty good actors and it's not distracting. Maya Hawke was in a few Tarantino films, probably due to the connection of Uma Thurman, but it doesn't matter because she's a great actress. The nepotism stuff isn't an issue, but the issue is when you're building your story all around the fact that you've cast this person in the film. And to me, that's just the way I view this. I have no proof of this, but the way that the story goes and it becomes a little bit more revolved around his daughter's performance, it to me seems like it was kind of based around that. At the end of the day though, I really think Trap is actually quite a good time. There's definitely worse films out there this year, and there's most certainly a million better ones. Maybe not a million. Kid Cudi's in this too. He didn't really do much, but he is there. For me, this is much of the same from the Shyamalan that we've been familiar with for the past few years. I think there's 3 stages of his career, which is the early golden age, the dark ages, and then there's the kind of renaissance or mediocre era. Personally, for me, if you want to go and see Trap, I think you should. I think it's a great time, but if you're a fan of Shyamalan, you have to expect much more of the same. There's a few great ideas in there, but at the end of the day, it's his same old tricks. If you were to ask me for a more recent Shyamalan film you should watch Old, because although it's trying new things and failing quite horribly, it's a really funny time.
So I went to the beach that makes you old.
You went to the what?
The beach that makes you old.
The beach that makes you old?
Yeah, man, the beach that makes you old.
Excuse me?
I gotta tell you about this beach. It made me old.
Thank you as always for watching my video on Trap, which is basically just a plot twist video to talk about Old. It's a really divisive film, but I think it is good, but still has plenty of flaws as well. I would recommend it, and if you've watched it and enjoyed it or hated it, then let me know. Also, I put out an interview last week with Farrah Drew talking about The People's Joker, so if that's interesting to you, maybe give it a watch. And yeah, see ya.